Jackson Hole, Wyoming serves as the gateway to Grand Teton National Park and is home to the National Elk Refuge, which provides sanctuary for one of the largest elk herds in America. During the colder months, Jackson Hole is also a major destination for winter sports and snowshoeing. Snowshoeing is a form of hiking that allows for safe cross-country movement through those wintry wonderlands. And today, I would be joined by Verlin of EcoTour Adventures for a little snowshoe and wildlife action.
My name is Sterling, and I am on location.
We're with Verlin in the Grand Teton National Park. You're going to show us some stuff about snowshoes today, right?
Yes, sir.
And one of the primary reasons you want to put on some snowshoes is you want to hike, but the weather is just not what you want it to be. Or you just really enjoy going outside where it's cold and seeing neat things in the cold that you don't get to see when you hike around them in the summer. So what's the main point of a snowshoe? Why do we strap these giant paddles to our feet?
Well, Sterling, we're standing on about 6 foot of snow right now, at least. And if you didn't have those snowshoes on, you'd be about chest deep in snow and we wouldn't be able to be walking around out here.
Oh yeah, that doesn't sound like a good time at all.
Yeah.
It's an alternative to cross-country skiing and a huge alternative to alpine skiing. I can go stand in the snow and look at maybe some rare breeds if I can get close.
Yeah, you might see some critters.
And what does EcoTours really offer for people who come to Jackson Hole? What is something special you guys bring?
We offer something for everybody. Wildlife, sightseeing tour. We offer tours here in Grand Teton on the National Elk Refuge and in Yellowstone National Park as well. Via automobile, snowshoe, and cross-country ski, and all of our guides are PSIA certified cross-country ski instructors as well.
If I was going to hop out here and no experience, why would I pick learning how to snowshoe over cross-country skiing?
Well, you know, snowshoeing is something that anybody can do. You can snap on the snowshoes, we can go for a walk. If you can walk, you can snowshoe.
I have the all-terrain tracks on right now.
Yeah, you can go anywhere. There's something magical about landscapes with backdrops like this.
Backdrops that we were about to explore. Grand Teton National Park is roughly 480 square miles and includes a 40-mile long stretch of the Teton mountain range. When snowshoeing, outfitters will often blaze a trail so that adventurers of any level can follow in their tracks and enjoy the rolling hills and snow-covered forested groves. Verlin and I did just that before swapping the snowshoes with a modified EcoTour Adventures van for a scenic wildlife expedition. Our first stop was a rocky hillside, where several bighorn sheep were grazing. Bighorn sheep are the largest wild sheep in North America and are almost always found near high rocky terrain. The rams can weigh over 300 pounds, while the ewes can get up to 150 pounds. Unlike antlers, which shed every year, bighorn sheep grow horns which stay with them their entire lives, very similar to domestic cattle. The area around Jackson Hole sees an annual migration of up to 200 sheep within a 5 to 10 mile area.
I think it's really cool though. How many did you say are on this ridge?
About 55 right now. The highest count this season's been 55.
It's such a small ridge for such a dense population.
Bighorn sheep travel in social groups. However, the males and females will typically only rendezvous to mate in the fall. These creatures can live up to 15 years in the wild, and while hundreds of years ago they roamed North America by the millions, today that number is only in the tens of thousands. Satisfied with our observations, we continued with our vehicular scenic wildlife tour through the Grand Teton area. Our goal was to find some moose. Along the way, we saw a handful of additional wildlife, including a pair of trumpeter swans, likely mates for life and distinguishable by their black bills, a variety of other waterfowl, and a scattering of mule deer. And finally, success. About 800 moose inhabit Grand Teton National Park and the southern part of Yellowstone, and we were lucky enough to capture with our telephoto cameras a solitary young male having a snack and a mother and calf resting in a patch of brambles. It was pretty epic, but my time here was not over yet. Double H Bar, a fellow Jackson Hole outfitter, had invited us on a sleigh ride through the National Elk Refuge, and I wasn't about to turn that down.
We're going to go on a sleigh ride and visit some friends at the National Elk Refuge. We have Michael, who's going to be our driver today. So you ready to go, Michael?
Let's go.
All right.
We began our trek into the National Elk Refuge, and pulling the sleigh were Rage and Cajun, two Percheron draft horses that each weighed over 2,000 pounds.
They can pull up to 4 times their own body weight. But all kinds of different wildlife use the refuge system. How the National Elk Refuge that we're on today, 24,792 acres, how large it is. So it's about 6 miles wide east to west and over 10 miles long north to south. So a pretty decent sized chunk of land that the elk out here have the winter on. Right now, they don't see us as a sleigh, 2 horses and people. To them, we're just one giant, funny looking creature.
This refuge represents the last remaining elk winter range in Jackson Hole. And these sleigh rides, now offered by Double H Bar, are the resulting byproduct of early 1900 homesteaders who would feed the elk herds using horse-drawn sleighs.
There's about 500 elk in this herd. There's about 7,000 elk on the entire refuge. We've seen some larger herds, but we have such a good view right here. We're just kind of stopping, hanging out with our buddies.
And soaking up the atmosphere with Rage and Cajun.
So a lot of people get confused on the antlers and horns, and they're the same thing, but they're very different. Antlers are shed every year and they grow back. Horns last forever and they just get larger every year, and horns are more hair. It's kind of like giant tires on your muscle truck and flashy paint jobs. It's about the ladies. They want to have a nice, big, symmetrical set, really balanced, shows that they're healthy.
They are also used to spar over the right to mate with a female elk, as antlers are a display of the bull's health and abilities. As antlers grow, they are covered with a layer of furry skin called velvet, full of tiny blood vessels which carry oxygen and other nutrients to the antler tips. This velvet is what allows the antlers to grow up to 1 inch per day. But despite this growth, antler size is not a reliable way to determine an animal's age, as older doesn't always mean bigger.
As the antler reaches its maturity, the velvet starts to die off and it gets really itchy, and the elk rub it off. And so every year, depending on what they're rubbing that velvet off on, their antlers have a different color.
Bulls that rub on pine or spruce, for example, will have a darker color than those bulls who rub on cedar or oak. Elk live in a variety of habitats ranging from alpine meadows to rainforests and dry desert valleys to hardwood forests. Here in the heart of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, the Jackson elk herd ranks among one of the top characterizing features of the valley. These elk will migrate across the National Elk Refuge, Grand Teton National Park, Yellowstone National Park, resource areas of the Bureau of Land Management, and state and private lands. Winter can be a stressful time of year for these elk, and every year some of the old, ill, or weak will die. In the great circle of life, they become food for a variety of animals, including coyotes and eagles. We were fortunate to witness this fact of nature as each descended upon a nearby carcass. Opportunistic feeders, both the larger Yellowstone area coyote and the bald eagle, will secure many of their meals by stealing the kills of other animals or scavenging carrion. Though a bald eagle and a coyote will occasionally square off over food, there is little evidence to support that one will actively go after the other unprovoked. Much like the case here, it is more a calculated dance of avoiding each other while each getting their fill. This coyote seemed to have a mate with him for the breeding season, which was fun to catch a glimpse of before we headed back to the staging area alongside another horse-drawn sleigh. Upon our return, I got a little more up close and personal with Rage and Cajun while I asked Michael some questions.
So it's about a 2.5 mile journey every morning from the barns and the pasture we keep the horses. And since they did work today, they'll have tomorrow off.
I heard that they live outside all the time, so they grow a special coat?
Correct. To leave them outside, grow a full hair coat. They're totally used to the environment and doesn't really bother them at all.
The Elk Refuge has a special contract for you guys to bring your sleds out, and you guys are bringing these sleds out for generations now.
Yeah, the sleighs have been out with the elk since before 1912, when this was established as the National Elk Refuge. We no longer feed the elk or manage them. We're just a private contractor that is just out here to show the elk in their natural winter habitats.
Well, we had such a fantastic time. Thanks so much for taking us out, Michael.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really
Thanks for
appreciate
coming.
it. Thank you.
Next time you find yourself in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, regardless of the season, make sure to check out EcoTour Adventures and Double H Bar. They are both fantastic outfitters. I know, because I've been on location.